See it played main battle area actions. So this is a meeting engagement. It's actually a redo of the basic situation that I tried before. I gave the Op 4 another platoon. So they now have 2 full T-80 companies going up against one M1 Abrams company. I'm going to try different things to try to figure out if the Op 4 can prevail. Now maybe the Op 4 simply needs more enablers like indirect fires, which actually I will be looking to add in the near future. All right, this time I'm going to do a random roll. Ooh, 94. And okay, so Blue 4 is going to go first. So again, the pre-game planning, we're not using reinforcements. Phase 1 reinforcements doesn't apply. Okay, so we go right to Phase 2, first turn. So we're going to start the first round of, first round of Phase 2. Step A is marker removal, which we don't have. B is indirect fire, we don't have. So C... Oh, yeah, never mind. There's no rolling for who goes first. Simultaneous fire and movement phase. The Op 4 is going to move first. Okay, yeah, step C. The Op 4 player moves all unsuppressed units as desired. Okay, so... all right. Try this again. Along the road, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are going to go for the urban area, but then they're going to wait and hopefully get some support. This company is going to go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Okay, all the Op 4 units are marked as moved. Now we're going to go to the Blue 4 company. So I'm now in step G. I skipped several steps there that have to do with firing. Obviously, forces haven't seen each other yet. So yeah, I'm not sure the Blue 4 has to do anything different. So we'll kind of do a repeat of what they did last time. So road movement. So the Abrams has a movement allowance of 6 plus 2 for staying on the road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to Leiboldt's urban area there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that was not road. That was not a road movement bonus because I didn't stay entirely on the road. I went off on the trail, but the trail here is negating the terrain costs there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just follow behind. Okay. My movement marker. Okay, just these Op 4 forces here in the open and the Blue 4 platoon and Leiboldt's there. They cannot see each other because of the rise here, the higher terrain than both of them. We'll move all the markers and go to the second round. Back around to the Op 4 movement again on the second round. This company moved into the urban area here. And this unit came to the edge of the urban area to observe out this way. But as long as he doesn't fire, he should not be spotted. Yep. And this company up here is going to move up to the high ground again, but yeah. So right now I'm not sure how to deal with terrain in squares. So this lead platoon here, for example, is going to go 1, 2 in the clear, and then they're going to enter this hex. So is 605235 clear or woods? They're clearly woods, well, and contour line. Okay, so I think that they're going to pay 2 to enter this square, and I'm going to treat it as wooded because I think that they would be actually entering the wood line, regardless of where exactly the green of the wooded terrain is in the square as a whole. But I'm not sure about that. Well, that's how I'm going to play it for now. Next platoon, 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Now we're back around to the blue 4 movement. So this platoon in Leiboltz here, urban area, is not going to move. So I believe that a unit that does not move, that is in anything but clear terrain, can go into defilade. So I think that is allowed. And then these go 2, 4. I talked about this. Before, but I'll just mention it again. When the M1s enter this square here, it's wooded. So 585210 is wooded. The OP4 platoon over here in the urban area, if this were clear terrain, they would be observed. But it's wooded. And I talked before about, I believe, when you draw the line of sight, that if the last square, the square occupied by the unit being observed, or attempting to be observed, that doesn't make much sense. Anyways, I believe that the line of sight is blocked. And as I was reading recently, again, I take this from an example given in the rule book. They talk about an example where, well, one unit's in the clear, another unit's in a wooded hex. Neither is fired, and it says that the unit in the clear cannot see the unit in the wood line. Of course, the unit in the wood line can see the unit in the clear. So from the example, that's how I take that the M1s are not observed here from the OP4 unit there. 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. Okay. End of the second round, or I'm going to go to the end of the second round, remove markers, and start the third round. We're back around to the third round, phase C, OP4 movement. And here's the example that I don't understand. If I take this platoon here, this OP4 platoon, it's unspotted in an urban square. If I use road movement, stay on the road here, get +2 movement allowance for 6. There are 2. Well, actually, okay, so I move it 1 square down here along the road. When I enter this square, which, by the way, the instant I moved it into this square, he would lose, I'm not going to do any of this, but this is what I don't understand, is lose his unspotted status. Yeah, double checked again. It can be spotted here immediately, and it is immediately spotted, so it loses its unspotted status. And in this square, it's observed by all 3 U.S. platoons. But it can apparently keep trucking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And by the way, when it reaches this square, it is unspotted again and gains its unspotted status again. So it just drove right across the front using its full movement allowance road bonus during a movement step, and there's nothing about opportunity fire or anything. I mean, it's 2.5 minutes during this movement step. 2.5 minutes. I do not understand that. What am I missing? What is to stop? What can the Blue 4 side do? Beyond me. Beyond me. What? Wow. I don't know what to say. With everything else I like about this game, with everything else I so like about this game, what am I missing that this absurdity happens? I mean, for that matter, well, I'm not even going to go into all the other permutations of this, but it moves, it's clearly observed, it loses its spotted status. What makes it to safety? Covering 1.5 kilometers in 2.5 minutes. Being observed almost the entire way. Wow. I don't know what to say. But anyways, I'll consider what the Op4 is going to do for movement here and mark them. Okay. The lead Op4 platoon here that is basically covering the defensive position here, right? They're not going to move, so they go into defilade. The next platoon, it's behind here. It's on the eastern side of the urban area, but he's not going to move. He's going to go into defilade too. I'm doing that more, I guess, for early training. Because, as a matter of fact, let me check what being in defilade does. Actually, in defilade does not give you defense and indirect fire, so never mind. Yeah, I think defilade only applies to indirect fire. Well, I'll double check that, but even if it's only for direct fire, which I will double check in a minute, I guess it's also just to train to do this, because I guess in the future plays, I guess enemy could wind up appearing with direct fire and you'd want to be in defilade. This unit back here, I'm just experimenting, is going to be like the anchor of the defense here, I'll say. And he's going to start working on a hasty defense. Now, when I broke out the game this time, I was wondering why I put in a bunch of these numbered markers. This is from another game. I was wondering why. Well, now I remember why I put these in here. Because the game doesn't... main battle area doesn't... So main battle area does not come with movement markers. Instead, it suggests you can't your units, which I don't prefer to do. So I'm using my own administrative movement markers. And it also doesn't come with any type of time ticker markers. So I use these. This is why. If a unit stays put, and let me see what I don't think they can do anything by not moving. Oh, so I guess they can still fire. So units can work for 8 consecutive rounds. 8 consecutive rounds by not move and achieve hasty defense status. But it sounds like they can still fire, so that's good. So my point is I'm going to start the 8 round ticker, not turn, 8 rounds, which means that 8 rounds can and often will stretch across turns, right? So this is the third round of the first turn. So 8 consecutive rounds from now, they will achieve hasty defense status. So what I'll do, I guess, is I'll put the ticker on top so I remember to adjust it each round, right? So this is the first round that they're working on their hasty defense. Okay. Well, first of all, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I don't know. Maybe the opposing player shouldn't be able to see that countdown. I'm not sure about that. Oh well. Alright, for now, maybe I'll change that in the future. Okay, I guess I'll leave that showing. Okay, I was wondering about the defilade and the hasty defense, okay? I thought that there would be, well, first of all, the rules imply that targets in defilade receive a modification to the dice rolls resolving any direct fire. That's what the rules say, but that's not even accurate because it applies to indirect fire as well. Plus 10 if in defilade. So that's for indirect. So being in defilade is a benefit for both direct and indirect fire, and that's plus 10, which is good. Now, there it is. Now, hasty defense is also plus 10. And hasty defense is also direct and indirect. So, the question is, what's the difference? The difference is you can go into defilade in one single round that you don't move, whereas it takes 8 consecutive rounds to get the hasty position. What's going on here? Long story short, the only thing I can think of is that these must be cumulative. Now that was throwing me off because I was thinking in real world, I was thinking about hasty positions, especially for an armor unit, and defilade, especially for an armor unit, and it being cumulative. Anyways, throw out real world. I think in game terms, nowhere does it say they're not cumulative, so I guess they're cumulative. And on top of that, while defilade gives you plus 10 benefit, indirect and direct fire, and that's it, that's good. The hasty defense not only gives you that, which again is cumulative with the defilade, but the hasty position also gives you some other benefits with final protective fire. Okay, so the effects are not identical. I guess they're cumulative. So really any round that you don't move, you should remember to go into defilade. And really every time you stop for a whole round, not only should you go into defilade, you might as well start working on hasty positions. Even if most of the time you may move before you get to the 8th consecutive round, it also doesn't seem, there's no penalty. There's no penalty for working on the hasty position that I've found so far. Okay, so that's that, and then I'll move the other company. Okay, they continued into the wood line and up over the high ground there. Not much more to say. They're marked. Okay, so next should be, because they're still unspotted, They're unspotted. So Blue 4 doesn't see any Op 4, so I'll handle the Blue 4 movement, end the round, and start again for the 4th round. So for Blue 4 movement, this is kind of just what I was talking about. They're not going to move because I haven't decided what they're going to do yet. So they would go right into Defilade, and then why wouldn't they start working on hasty positions? So I had them all start hasty positions, as well as being in Defilade. End of the round, and we'll start the 4th round. So for the Op 4, they basically moved up these platoons so they can at least observe west, and otherwise all the rest of the platoons are working on hasty positions in non-clear terrain. On the Blue 4 side, these 2 platoons continue to dig in, and this platoon is going to move around the wood line here and try to maybe assault, which isn't really assault, conduct immediate combat against that stack, which is going to be interesting. Alright, this is the US or Blue 4 movement, turn 2, step 2. Wow. Okay, whole lot of digging going on, and here is where it's going to get a little interesting. So the Blue 4 players platoon here in the wood line. It's an Abrams platoon. It gets to move 6. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. It's going to enter the urban area. This is what I don't understand again. So if he were to stop like too short, first of all, he would be observed, obviously. Still wouldn't be fired at. Then I guess the step C of the next round, the Op 4 could open up at very close range. Yes. I guess that works. Doesn't help the situation before about dashing across to 1,500 meter gap, but anyways, here I guess it does work. Well, the moment he came out of the wood line, he loses his unspotted status anyways. He goes to 5, and now let's see what happens here with this what they call immediate combat. Okay, the procedure for immediate combat. The maneuvering unit or stack of units enters a square occupied by an opposing unit. All movement halts temporarily. By the way, both units are immediately considered spotted. So, this is an urban square, by the way. I guess the stream doesn't matter because I didn't cross the stream, I guess. The movement allowance for urban, by the way, is still just 1, so no difference. So they enter the enemy's square their urban terrain. Urban, yeah. I guess the hasty stuff, well, I guess I can just set it aside. It is in Defilade. Loses his unspotted status. And now he's defending. Okay. The defender's going to fire. I guess it's range 0 and first. And then the moving player is going to conduct 0 range fire. Okay. Now I see. So it says this is important. So the defender's going to fire first. If the and are resolved first in direct fire combat. If the defender's in an improved positions are strong points, entrenchments, and hasty defensive positions, but not Defilade, obviously. So they didn't finish their hasty defense, but here's where, so it doesn't apply here, but here's where there's another benefit to the hasty defense that's significantly more than just Defilade. Defender may use final protective fire modifier in the combat results table. So, Soviets, there it is. Oh, so it's minus 20. That is nice. Using final protective fires. Okay. That is something to remember. Okay. And then there's also, we don't have indirect fire, but there would also be indirect final protective fire. Okay, so I was wondering about the whole terrain issue here. But rules as written, if I didn't miss anything, I guess it's as in the hex, which is interesting. So I guess when the Op 4 are firing at the Blue 4 at range 0, the Blue 4 is considered moving, obviously, and in an urban square. I don't know about that, but I'm going to play it that way. That's plus 20 already. Let's see what else applies. So the Op 4 rolls a 68, plus 10 for the target, for a moving target, 78 plus another 10 for the target. The M1 is in urban square for a final of 88. 88 at range 0 is only 1 kill. Now this kill, I know, is assessed before the M1's return fire. So again, I'm taking that strength marker and I'm rotating it to its 2 vehicle side. So now the M1 platoon has a strength of 3 or 3 fires. So, by the way, I need to remember to adjust for that loss now. The loss being moving Abrams unit plus 10 per loss. Okay. Wow, you gotta love the drama of war games, right? Blue 4 rolled 00, 100, which is plus 10 for the targets being in defilade, plus another 10 for being in urban square for 120, which is no kills. Wow. Okay, I guess that's over. I'll figure out what happens here. Okay, first things first is that the surviving units could continue moving if they have movement points remaining. But actually, they expended their last movement point to enter here. So they can't move on. So they're going to stay in the same area. And interestingly enough, they can still, both sides can still conduct, they're not marked as fired. So they can still conduct normal combat as per the rest of the sequence of play. So we'll put this stack back together. Yeah, so actually that was step G, US movement or Blue 4 movement. So actually we go right on to step H, which is Op 4 unspotted unit fire. Which I guess these guys could fire into... Why wouldn't they fire into their... So that's it. I know why we want to do that. We want to do this now because this this unspotted fire by the Op 4 platoon there will fire and take effect first, separately in this step H, before we go to, because if any of those Abrams remain, then when we get to steps I and J, that will be simultaneous fire. So we wouldn't want that. We want this platoon to fire first from urban area to urban area. So we'll do that fire. The drama just keeps continuing. That Op 4 platoon rolled an incredible 92, plus 10 for the Abrams being in urban is for 102, which is no losses. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so that's fired. Technically they are now, not technically, they are now spotted. And then we flip them to fired, like that. Now we'll go on to the declaration of simultaneous fire. So this is going to come down to who can roll really well first. So both sides, obviously, both sides will declare will fire. Yeah, so that's step I, and then J is execution of simultaneous fires. So I'll do fires on both sides, assess all the losses, and we'll see what the outcome is. Yeah. All right, I'm going to do the fire for the Abrams there, and I did forget. He would have been marked moving because they moved in during that previous movement step. I just had to show that. 88 plus 30. 10 for defilade, 10 for urban, 10 for one loss. Over 100, no losses. The Abrams inflicted no losses at 0 range. And there we go. Extreme, the other extreme. 0, 8. So 8 plus 10 for target moving, plus another 10 for the urban square is 28, which is 3 kills, which completely eliminates the Abrams platoon there, with no, and the Op 4 took no casualties. I think at the instant, well, no, he fired, so I guess he's not unspotted. When does he go? When does he go unspotted again? So I think that that unit behind there does go right back to being unspotted, because even though they did fire from this square, there's no one to observe them there. Okay, so we're back to everybody digging in, and the Blue 4 down an entire platoon.